welcome to Higimura Studios. I'm Higimura, and today I'm going to be talking about a panel I went to at Confurgence. Hello everyone, I'm Higimura, as I mentioned earlier, and today we're going to be talking about the time at Confurgence where I went to a panel. Now, for those of you who know, last year I went to a furry convention called Confurgence, and you can probably find my dealer experience video somewhere up here, I think it's usually over here. And I decided this year to be an attendee. Usually, I do this sometimes, it's like a vacation convention, So, while I was there, my favorite, fursuiter / performer / fursuit maker, was there. Her name is Eno8977. I hope I got that right. There might be an extra 7 there. If not, it'll appear somewhere over here. And, she was hosting a fursuiting panel, which was just basic information and stuff like that. I'm going to be showing you guys that exact panel. It is a bit long and the audio might not have been that great since the area was, outside in a kind of marquee type of thing. So I will try my best to put in subtitles when I can. So hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you at the end of the video.
Yes, that's what we said talking about. There's so many tutorials you can find online. Where people love to use those. There's so many videos. So many.
Yeah, absolutely. There's from where I started, there was not a lot of tutorials out, so a lot of my suit making, you're going to find it along the way. There's a lot of trial and error. It's going to be frustrating. I guarantee you might get very upset making it. You might walk away from it for a while from that. But just know that the internet out there has a vast amount of tutorials. There's other places like PVC, where you can just order bases and then burn them yourself. Again, there's tutorials for that. It makes it a lot easier for you guys to be able to create your own suits. And then there's, also, there's tons of different places where you can get furs, you can order them online. Like you said, there's...
Yeah, we have platforms here in Australia, which is really good.
I want to go.
There's also some, I'm like, I personally use my girls. What else? Fabric.com.
Usually for me, when I'm in America, I'm 5 hours away from the LA Fashion District, which is a large hub for fabrics and everything in Hollywood. And so we go there and we'll go and select furs and hand select furs. Some of the store owners will actually take us to their warehouse, where it's just piles and rolls of fur, and you have to climb through it. It's like some kind of Lord of the Rings reenactment fur style. But it's definitely an adventure. I think creating a suit could be a bit more personal to you. It can mean a lot to somebody, whether it be their first time making a suit or their 5th time making a suit. It just all depends on how much work and how much money you want to be putting into that. Again, keep in mind, you could be spending the same amount that you would on a commission just by messing up and restarting and redoing the suit. But I don't want that to discourage you. I want that to kind of drive you to be an artist and make something for yourself. And again, be a nice personal touch to you.
Again, on the cheap side of things, we're very lucky that we have Park Rubber, where you can get $10 bags of foreign off cuts. So you can put together 10 heads out of that foreign off cut bag. And it's cheap, cost effective, you can mess up and it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's really handy.
So, on the other side of things, as you guys know, I own SpectralCostumes.com. I've been making fursuits for 12 years now, and I kind of know a little bit more on the ordering side and, the process on, suit ordering for within the U.S. I know, sometimes it can be a little different here. Everybody has their own ways of processing commissions and everything, but just remember, it's going to take time. For a lot of makers like myself, we have quite a large queue to keep up with demand and then keep up with income, basically. So, when you're ordering, do your research. Your research is going to be your biggest weapon because there's a lot of new makers out there. If you want to go with more of a veteran maker, it just depends. I sometimes encourage people to go with newer makers because that's actually how I got my start. If it wasn't for the people that encouraged me and commissioned me when I was young, I wouldn't be here right now.
I'm making myself I can completely agree with that.
Yeah. So again, just do your research. Kind of forming a good relationship with the person you're going to be throwing 4K plus dollars at is kind of important. I feel like just kind of getting to know them and everything. So you know how the process goes. A good thing to look out for what I do with my customers is that we have a community chat on Telegram. We have an update channel also on Telegram, and then we just have a large circle of keeping everybody updated. Because with my costumes, when it comes to ordering, it could take anywhere from a year to 3 years to get to your order and complete it. So it can be a long waiting process, so you have to be prepared for that. Asking your maker, your desired maker, how long it might take is kind of key. Now, you should never set yourself on that goal that, it'll be finished at 5 p.m. on January 1st, 2019. Stuff happens, unfortunately. I've been one of those people, one of those commissioners or makers that unfortunately has had a lot of difficult things happen where we lost our house and we had to move to a new one because the rental that we were in was selling, and that set us behind 2 months of work, which is huge because usually we're making about 2 suits a month. So if you can imagine, it's like a domino effect when you have set suits within a month that just kind of fall into the next month when you don't get them done, and suddenly you're making 4 suits. So keep in mind that things can happen to your maker that can set them back, but as long as they're communicative to you and you're getting updates or just seeing them work, I feel like the time is worth it. A lot of my customers from older part of my queue are now getting suits that are worth well over $8,000 when they spent $2,000 for it. And I won't change that price at all because, the time and everything, it's fine with me. So, it's just we've improved over the years and changed our products and we keep finding new things to add to our suits to make them more wearable, more breathable, stronger. So, again, time is patience and finding the commissioner that you want, the style that you want. Just go have fun with it. You have a large selection out there. And again, maybe look into smaller makers that are just trying to get their start. I think it would be a lot easier if you guys picked a local maker, for sure. Just because I guess the currency is a lot different here compared to the US. So, I've had people get quotes where, it was like 2,000, but then with the currency exchange, it's like 4,000 for you guys. So it's just that's a lot. That's the same lot. So, yeah. Anyways,
So say on that note, so you often say on postage. You don't have to worry about custom space, but
yeah, absolutely. And there's always a chance after months of waiting on that suit, we lost them, which that's terrifying. I've had that happen. But so let's say that you waited the long amount of time to commission, or it took the long amount of time to make your suit, and now you have it. A good thing to kind of do is understand your suit and your limits. So, starting off with it, whenever I get a new costume, I'm gonna, try it on, obviously. But stand in front of a mirror, kind of like see the angles of what your suit looks like from different angles when you wear it and when you perform it. And that's like the first basics of developing your character and turning it into something that you will absolutely have a lot of fun with. Now, you don't have to go out there and play the role of a character. You could just be someone in a costume. I have a character or a persona coming up named, where that's how I'm portraying it. It's just me in a costume. I don't want to overexert myself like I do in telephone. Telephone and in character. Yeah.
Another thing to touch on there is understanding your limitations in your suit. You can't move as freely, you can't breathe as easily, you can't see anywhere near as well. It's very important to know how much you can handle in that sort of environment. And be very aware of where your surroundings are, because you're not going to spot that kid to your right. You're going to take a step, you're going to knock them over. You've just got to be very aware of what's going on and get used to it. It takes some getting used to it, anyways.
Actually, Pixel, where is your line of vision? That's a pretty good line of vision up there. You have a lot wider eyes. They're large, and the entire color of the inside of the eye is actually like the mesh where you see out. I've had a wolf head, more realistic. You see through the tear ducts, which is a lot more limited than a giant circle, and I could hardly see. It was a beautiful suit, and I'm happy to perform in it. It's just, remember, understanding where your steps are, if you can see. Another thing is at night. It's completely different sometimes for different type of meshes. There's a vast variety that makers use. Some meshes they reflect the light. So when you're at the dance and the lights are, you can't see anything. Other times, you can see just fine. It just all depends, really. So kind of working with the lights on and then maybe dimming the lights down to see where your vision capability is at is kind of key, because you don't want to be stepping and falling into things or falling into $1,000 equipment or stepping for kids. Being aware of your surroundings and learning the basics at home can really help you when it comes to performing out in public.
Also, making sure you know just how much the claws on your hands might extend your fingers. Because for instance, if you have resin claws, it's so easy to poke someone and it'll really hurt them.
Yeah, I've done one that has massive rapid claws and stuff. And, I've worked with cosplay before where the costume extends out with wings. And as you walk through the hall, you're just slapping everyone as you go. So, keep in mind that, what's the wide distance of your suit? And especially if you do have like large wings, sometimes you have to kind of shift to the side and then go through a doorway. Or I'm working on a Ben's buck for someone that is 6 foot wide. With the suit, it turns into a 7 foot tall suitor. The horns are this long, so he has to basically duck down when he goes through doorways. But yeah. So let's say like we got the basics down. We understand our suit. We understand our limitation. Understand that when you go out, it's going to be hot, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. When I first started wearing costumes, I felt the same way. You will build a tolerance to it after a while. You'll start to understand your suit more. Like when I first got my new telephone head, it was big and wobbly. Sorry, I have to go into this real quick. It just took me a little while to get used to it, and then the character really started to flourish. But let's go into starting small. I think it's, again, better to gradually work yourself up instead of throwing yourself into massive events with your costume. Again, you need to build up that endurance, the understanding of changing the costume itself.
Again, in Australia, you've got to work up full lower heats as well. We have some sweltering days, and you don't want to suit for the first time on a 35-degree day. You will die.
You also got to run away from the tiger snakes. You get terrified. So you gotta have that endurance. Where I live, it's usually okay. I don't know Celsius to Fahrenheit. I'm sorry. It's usually 120 to 135 Fahrenheit. So 35 degrees. Yeah. So it gets really hot in the desert. There's no humidity, which is kind of a plus side, but 37? 57. Okay, yeah. I don't know. But it's really hot. And, you know, one thing is, when you're starting out small, don't throw yourself out in the desert like I would. In a carpet costume. It's good to go to maybe small events, look for furry meetups. You guys have a lot of community meetups and everything. Those are great to go to for your first time. You go to meet people. It's not as much pressure. There's also small picnics and tinier events around your community, charity events. Anything that's on a small scale so that you can get around and kind of work yourself and be out on the floor without being overwhelmed with situations that we're going to talk about later on that you can do when you're out of a bigger event. Remember to hydrate. Please.
Always drink before and after swimming. If you can, drink through swimming as well. Don't stop drinking water.
Yeah, there are one of the processes I go through to get into costume and everything is actually drinking some ice cold water to cool your inner temperature. There's also specific fursuit vests that you can get to help cool you down. They have long-lasting ice packs basically. Those are amazing. I wish I could wear mine on the telephone. But unfortunately, I'm grown too tall for the suit, so it's really tight on me. And so, make a new body, I cannot wear it. But when I was able to perform with one of those, I could go twice the amount of time because I'm keeping a lot of that core body temperature a lot cooler.
They're actually very inexpensive as well for your well-being.
It's something new for me. All right. So, we've got the suit, we understand our limits, we've kind of gotten onto a smaller platform to kind of perform in, and now it's the big talk, going to a convention where you will have tons of fun, in or out of suit. There will be lots of things going on, tons of panels just like ours, but you're also going to run into situations maybe what I've seen in larger furry conventions like Canada or Texas Furry Fiesta, tons of those, where you might run into someone that is intoxicated, you might have something spilt on your suits, you might step on something, and you might get the black rub of death from the escalators. If you don't know what I'm talking about, when you go up an escalator, they're very greasy, and California white foot has turned black so many times from this. So, the things to keep in mind is, again, knowing your environment and where your feet actually are as far as important. Yeah. And, you'll see a lot of suitors put one foot on an escalator and then the other behind them, just kind of steadily ride up the escalator, avoiding the size of it. So, keep in mind that there's going to be things that might actually stuff up your suit, that can happen. You have to stay on conventions.
I remember with escalators, with stairs. You have a lot more stairs in Australia than you have escalators. definitely be present with you as well because there's so many different times, especially for kids there trying to get you to overlap that stuff. Don't let yourself out. Remember to sleep enough to what you need. It's by the time you realize you're too tired and dehydrated, it's too late. You're too exhausted, and you just have to spend the rest of the time without it. It's just not fun.
Remember, minimum that you should be is 6 hours. I usually like to sleep 8 hours. If not, I'm cranky. But it's very important to take care of yourself, take care of your costume, and go out there and have fun. So, you might find yourself in situations at conventions where, let's say, like someone you don't want to be like. It's always good to kind of let people know, we have sign language. It's kind of there's different keys that you can give people to let them know like what you need if you don't want to speak out as a character. Obviously sometimes if you need to you can, but for instance, like I'm hot, it's just kind of fanning yourself. Or I need a drink of water, I usually fan and then drink. Yeah. And everybody has their own kind of different ways of doing it. But you kind of get the point across. If the student doesn't want to be hugged, I mean, it's always kind of nice to go, can I hug you? And there's yes. Or no. Some people just they have their limits. So we're respecting that and everything is great.
There are also some badge items that you can get that say like the green, I said hug, or that it says not hug. They're also really cool. You feel that sort of thing.
Also, this is something I've been in a situation before many times. If you have dirty hands, or jelly on your hands, or Cheetos on your hands, please do not go and hug the right person. Alright, touch your face. So I've actually encountered a couple of times where someone was just eating jelly with his hand out of a jar. And it was on his face. I'm not over dramatizing this at all. It was on his face, it was on his hand, it was on his shirt, and he just starts walking up and for fursuiters in that aspect, if you see someone like that, feel free to tell them, no, this is your $3,000 costume or something that you spent about $100. So you don't want things on it.
On that same note, don't hover around a suit with a drink. You might not be wanting to go up and hug them, but just the fact that you're near them with an open drink means that they could turn around and knock it. Or someone else could knock you, and you could steal a drink on them. Just don't hover around suit with things. Actually was an event where a drink was spilled on me, and it's impossible to get out of there. It does happen. You can get it out, it just takes ages.
There was someone that I was helping at a convention where he got this thick red wine spilled all over his short white fur, and it just stayed so badly. So, suitors and people, be cautious of where you're at. We're all here to have fun. For some people, we want to entertain you, but we also don't, want to be put in situations where for the most part, everybody does it really well.
Good staining with it, but they need water. There's accidents do happen. Generally, there's a fix for what happens.
Examples again, accidents, that's perfect. Accidents happen. I've never gotten frustrated with this. I have a lot of people come up to pet telephone. Really fine. They pet her on the face. But a long time ago, I actually had to go and replace her horns because people with long nails would be scratching and cut the vinyl with their nails. So I had cut some telephone's horns. So we began to replace those, and then I started having another issue where people would be very vigorous with costumes and tear the horn. There's a video of me judging things called LFC. You can see my horn just dangling off, and at the end I just finally reach it and pull the rest of it off. It happens. So what I did is I had to go in and stitch the horns to the face. So we're good now. We're good. But for someone that doesn't have a suit and wants to interact with a suitor, remember, these are pieces of artwork. These are wearable pieces of artwork. They're not toys. If a suitor is allowing you to touch the face and everything, please go with your brain, which is going away from the muzzle. Maybe use the back of your hand. Just be very gentle. Nothing else. This is not an animal. I do not feel the scratching on my face when you want to pet. So, just be very gentle. Get your fix and then move on.
The other thing to know is that feel doesn't go back on the fursuit. So if you are walking, you do this now, you might try to come back.
That telephone is unfortunately starting to fall a little bit around the eyes from massive amount of petting. Again, I'm here. I love entertaining you guys. It's a lot of fun. So, yeah.
That's my thing. Fursuits do age. They don't last forever. They last a long time. And then you take care of the one they last. Eventually.
It's kind of heart-wrenching in a way when you have a costume that means a lot to you. And as you grow with that costume, it's almost like watching your beloved pet grow, and you know that the time is limited. So I can't express enough how important it is to take care of yourself, to take care of your health, and to take care of your costume, especially if it means a lot to you. With that being said, we want to go into care after the day. Which is basically when you go back up to your room and you de-suit and everything, there are some few things that you should think about doing when that is all said and done. One of the things is take a shower, please. There's so much oil that builds up from you sweating and everything that, if you're sweating and you're gross and you're like, you get out of suit, you're like, oh, I'll just get back in suit in a second, so I'll just shower, go down and smell at the convention and then get back in suit, it doesn't matter. You're putting those oils back into that suit, so if you can rinse off and clean yourself, you're going to be helping your suit in the long run.
Letting the suit dry between layers is also really important. I found that it helps me sleep a lot less. Those sticky suits that do run around, there's not many, but they're usually the ones that are in it for hours and don't let it dry between layers. Another thing is yes. So I'll struggle sprays. They're wrong. Use them. Inside out, spray it down, let it dry. More than best thing to do. Make the suit feel less.
Yeah. It actually helps dry your suit up faster too. You can get the fragrance sprays, which there are a ton of producers out there for these sprays, or you can just mix 50% water and 50%. Jeremy uses still water. Alcohol. That's perfect. Yeah, isopropyl.
It's like 99%.
Yeah, 99%. And that actually, it always helps clean out your suit. It gets rid of the follicles and everything that left behind in your suit. Letting it out to dry and brushing. Brushes are kind of an important thing, but you also need to know what type of brushes to use. I use a wide variety depending on the wear of the suit. So, this suit over here, fabulous to take care of. I would use maybe a softer brush, for example, a soft camel hair brush, and whatnot. A lot of the times I tell people not to use thicker brushes. We as makers use them to pull out seams and stuff and kind of get that hurt out so that there are no seams on the face or anything like that. Depending on the situation though, if the suit is very matted, I will use a secret brush, but at the tips of these, it has actually coated in a protective plastic, so it has a more round tip than it would just have an exposed wire tip.
That way the brush doesn't actually give it a packing as well. People also remember that a lot of those brushes are designed to take loose fur off the water. And a lot of this fur is woven, it goes over and goes to the roots.
Yeah, for example, in this sticker brush, it's the only brush I brought for Telephone, unfortunately, so, I mean, it's okay for her to lose a little bit of fur here and there, but, I just got done brushing her, and this adds up after time. If you can imagine, every time I wear Telephone, and brush her out, if I were to be using this sticker brush all the time, how many times do I get out of the suit? 3 or 4 times a day, and then I brush her out to make sure that the fibers are very nice. You can imagine this plus 5 every day at every convention, every time I wear her. Your suit's going to end up going bald eventually. So, using softer crystal brushes can definitely help.
What a baby brush.
I also have another tool, a toothbrush. You can use this on yourself too. But I like using these for hard to reach spots. Like in between the horns here. I can't get a sinker brush in there without, hitting the horn vinyl and potentially scratching it and everything. So, telephone's teared up area, any small areas I can't get a larger brush into, I will use a toothbrush to help kind of, push that away and everything. So, Also, when storing your suit, don't leave it on the floor, crunched up, just like, it won't dry fast that way, so kind of like hanging it up, opening up the chest, allowing all that air to flow in there. There's also products that you can get, like fans. There's a scuba hanging dryer that you can actually hang your suit on, and it blows air into it, and actually dries it off a lot faster. So.
Another thing is, when you're traveling to and from a home, don't fix it on the street, you go close to the face. You hang it up, and when you get to the home,
Oh, yeah, that's actually a huge one, is traveling with suits. Of course, they came all the way from America to here, and I only could use one suit luggage case. So, with all my clothes and everything, I have to find a way to make sure it fit. The whole body is attached, basically, tail, wings, paws, and feet are attached to the body. So, I usually put that into a space bag and space bag down, but don't ever leave your suit in a space bag for a long period of time, because what happens is that the fur fibers will get crimped. And then when you pull it out, you'll notice all these lines and zigzags on the suit where the fur was compressed. It's plastic, remember. There are ways to reverse that. If you can't brush it out and it's still there, we'll go into that more towards the end of this video. But just remember, storing your suit in an area where it can't breathe, you're asking for bacteria to grow. Especially if there's moisture in there. I saw the worst one where someone left their suit in a bin and it had moisture in it, bad moisture, sweat. You open it up and there was fungus in the suit, so it went straight into the trash. Yes. So one of the things that you're going to encounter anyway, whether it be large events, conventions, Renaissance festivals, is you might encounter drunks, children that are not respectful or just don't know costumes and how to respect them, problem people. There are different ways to approach this. One is having a handler. A handler is someone that gives you what you need, water, protect you, and, just all around be your eyes and ears out of suit.
Also, must be aware that being around drunks, they can be unpredictable. I personally have had a tail ripped off my first week by someone yanking on while I was on. Be careful. If you go somewhere that you know there's going to be a lot of drunk people. For instance, you're going to a party that's going to be on Saturday just after a football game, you know there's a walking route where the stadium edges out from there. Don't sit there because you know someone is going to do something. That's especially non-magic.
There's one important thing. I know a lot of people don't like to break the magic. I don't either. There are some times I've had similar situation. I've dealt with plenty of intoxicated people. You know, it's fine, we're all having fun. That's great. But sometimes people can drink a little too much to where they want to fight everything. I was in a situation where I was out on the city and approached by an intoxicated man that insisted on getting in a fist fight with me. So it is very important to break that wall of costume in person. So when you're in a situation where even if you're talking to him, like, no, I'm good, like, don't fight that bull over there or something. If he doesn't want to back off from it, take your head off. Break that wall. It is important. Even if you are overheating, your health comes first. Your livelihood comes first. And your nose not being broken is very important. So, you know, breaking that wall usually helps someone be like, oh, there's a thing here. So, going away now. So, it's good to put your foot down and just kind of let people know, hey, this is not okay. Again, yeah. We all deal with kids once in a while. You know, usually a lot of the times at conventions I never have an issue with kids pulling my tail or anything like that. But usually when you're out in open events, like let's say the Renaissance, they don't really understand. So they want to pull on your tail and everything. So that's when a handler comes into play and is really useful.
Just trying to think of how many situations I've been in where a handler has been paramount to me getting to water or just surviving in general.
Yeah. You know, when it comes to kids, obviously, we don't want to just like rip our head off and go, stop! You know, you're going to terrify that kid. And a lot of the times, what I do is just, you know, I usually just, no, don't do that, that hurts. You know, I'll pretend that it hurts in the costume. And he's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And, you know, they kind of get it a little bit easier. It's just like, you know, just understand it's just kind of fun and everything. But if they are getting to the point where they're kicking you and stuff, usually a parent will step in. If the parent doesn't, I just pretend it hurts and, you know, it makes me sad. I really kind of try to put that message across, you know. And it usually 95% of the time it goes.
Generally, they come on pretty quickly.
Yeah. Drinking in a suit. This is a bad idea. I'm not going to discriminate against anybody that wants to party in their suit, but please be responsible, because when you're in a costume, you are obviously sweating, you are using a lot more water, and then you're like, rehydrate, let's dehydrate, and drink alcohol in the costume. That could come out. The alcohol can come through your sweat. You kind of leave a nasty smell in your suit. I've got a story for you. I'd love to see where eventually, at some point, we are all responsible enough not to pass out their costumes at an ambulance show up to a convention. This is stressful on everybody, and you can lose your suit in the process. I have a friend who insisted on getting plastered in his costume. And it was the most unfortunate thing that happened, but he went to the public bathroom and began to vomit. Someone noticed it and let the authorities know, and they came to collect him. In that process, he was in his suit, obviously head off, but they went to go pick him up, and he said, no, I'm fine, I'm finished here, and I'm going to get out of the costume. They didn't do that. They picked him up and then dropped him on the toilet, where he then blacked out. They then called the paramedics, and they took the scissors and chopped his suit up into tiny pieces. Yeah, they don't care about the zipper. They're going to cut it off. So his suit was absolutely destroyed after that, and he had thousands of dollars in ambulance fees and hospital fees and everything else, so it's not worth it. If you are going to drink alcohol, just remember that. If you're feeling a little woozy, drink water. It helps.
And again, that comes back to don't be afraid to pop your head, sit down, and just chill for a little bit so you feel a bit better. It's nothing to do.
Yeah. Okay, so we can talk about this. Well, we can go into, again, your health is very important when it comes to household. Please remember this. Eat healthy. Come on, you can't eat mattress all the time. I can't say it still. I'm trying for you. Just get a decent meal in morning and night. Again, we kind of push that because that's going to help you throughout the convention. Performing etiquette. You're just going to have a better time when you take care of yourself. Again, we have talked about this thousands of times through this whole panel, but drinking water is so important for you guys. Not soda, not alcohol. You have soda sometimes. It's okay to enjoy a beverage once in a while, but when you're in suit, just make sure that you are well hydrated.
And don't underestimate how much food matters. It's so easy to overwork yourself and get dizzy just from hypoglycemia.
So, one thing, if you feel like you're getting really sore and everything, so remember, when you're sweating, you're not only sweating water, you're sweating salt. You're losing an immense amount of salt. So, having maybe like a small salty snack, I'll keep like salty nuts around. I mean, there's plenty of salt to go around. This is a famine. But we gotta keep it coming somehow. So, remember, have a salty snack once in a while. Drink lots of water. Please shower, please. Yeah.
I just had a thought as well, going back to the emergency situation sort of thing. If there is a fire drill, which does often happen at conventions, pop your head, no one's going to care. It's better for the authorities as well, because they know you're not going to do something stupid. You're not going to just step in front of their car as they're driving into the reception area. And it also allows you to help guide people if they need it. It allows people to guide you more easily as well. It's just more safe to pop your head.
Yeah. So let's say we've gone through the convention, we've got our suit and everything, we've done that, been there, everything else. It's time to wash ourselves.
This is not everyone hates doing. For a while there, I actually washed people's suits for them, as gross as that is.
It's so funny how, me as a maker, I have a large understanding of furs and everything, different kinds of furs, varieties and everything, but, for someone that puts a new suit and think water is acid, it's not. Fluoridated water is not. I've gone in pools and people are like, you ruined your suit. It's like, to wash your suit? So, when I get home, with a telephone, I have a specific large washer and dryer. I don't know, what type of thing you might have, but there's definitely two different ways to go about this. I think
the safest way is definitely just to hand wash it in warm water. That's really it. A gentle soap. In Australia, we don't have a strong soap to do that for me.
Yeah. You guys don't even know how to do.
We do have a version of it. There is a version of it.
Okay. It's just a different name. Someone told me you guys have
There you go. A lot of your gentle soaps will work just fine. Your own cold power.
Oh, good. That's good to know.
But lukewarm. You can put them in the washing machine. Again, be careful. Sometimes the agitator in the middle of an upright machine can rip your suit to shreds.
So would a drum be better?
Consider. A lot of the time I make those telling you what they prefer usually from wash their suit as well. Because everyone uses different baking and different materials.
Yes. If you are unsure of how you should be washing your suit, contact your bakery because they will know because they built it. That is huge.
Yeah, don't put it in the dryer. On making, do not put it in the dryer. It's all dry.
Do that. Yeah. It's like I'm in trouble.
We've had a couple of girls in Australia who put theirs in the dryer and it says full cycle and it still melts the soup.
Yeah, no, I do advise not to use the dryer. Again, if something happens, I'm like, a lot of people don't know how to sew or to do patch things. I mean, it happens with Taylor actually. She had just finished the suit. She's like, okay, I'm gonna wash it now. And she puts it in my washing machine. We don't have the set of agitator. And then she puts it in the dryer, and she turned the dial to air dry, but then she accidentally apparently bumped it to premium press.
Oh.
Brand new, and fried it. She pulled out, she's like, what happened? I was like, we were freaking out. She just finished this brand new suit she's been working so hard on. And, oops. So, that can happen. I take a very large risk, but I also don't have a lot of room in my house to set it out to dry. And if I put my suit out to dry outside, we have no moisture. It is just desert, so gust of wind is basically a sandstorm there. So I'm just kind of repeating the cycle of washing and getting it dirty.
I'm going to drying your soup. Drying your soup is wet, it is heavy. It is so heavy. One thing you can get away with, as well, is even after hand washing, you can chuck your soup into the washing machine just for a steam dry. Just to get that extra moisture out again, and you can send it out to potatoes anywhere in the washing machine. But otherwise, when it gets hot, goes out of that soup before you hang it up. Or you get on the very wide coat hangers, so that a lot of that stress is spread out over the coat. You don't want to use the thin ones because it pulls down the stress with your joints. Time.
Raise your hands up the stain removal.
When I wash the suit in the bathroom,
but what's the stain removal?
I have harmless oil anymore from working on suits all the time. Obviously, I'm going to the gym again, but I usually kind of, after it rinses and everything, to get it rinsed out, I just kind of let it sit there for a couple of hours, and there's different ways that you can use it, but you can actually try and pick it up and put crates underneath it, the plastic crates, in the bathtub, so it's draining down, it has gravity to pull it. Yeah, so it's elevated and pull the water off.
Do is just sit it in the bottom of the top and press down on it. You can also use a towel to down as well.
Just got a question.
Hi, just wanted to know, I know that Folex is like the stain remover without use of water over in the States, but what's the version of it here in Australia? If you guys know.
Yeah, I use Folex a lot too. What is it called here now? So usually, with Folex, it's a high-powered cleaner. You have to order it online, especially within the US. You can't really get it anywhere at a store. So just go on Amazon, type in Folex. This is something I really love to use for heads. Some people can, fully immerse your heads. Some people can't. With silicone, I usually with the heads. It's the most fragile part. It's the most important part to me. I usually wash every 8 months. I'll do a deep clean and throw her head in the washing machine, and then very gently put the water out and let it dry over a couple of days with a fan circulation.
I do have a comment on that in a second, but we do have someone who knows what the offender in Folex is. Stango. Okay. There we go. One thing to note is some makers don't have waterproof files.
The paint goes on. Yeah, and that's where stain guard comes in. And, the alcohol spray. really, I know a lot of people that never wash their heads and they just spray the inside and it helps clean out the head and all that stuff.
One thing to note, this does not replace washing the suit. You still have to wash the suit. Still have to wash the suit.
You know, when it comes to like washing the headpiece, submerging it every time after a convention, like people do the body, actually can really wear out the foam in the head, and then like it starts to kind of crumble over time. So again, it's all like maybe every like 6 to 8 months, I'll like super deep cleaner, but for the most part, I'll just take a little bit of Rolex and wash it.
You already have a question? Yeah.
No, I'm so sorry.
Isopropyl does. Isopropyl, straight up isopropyl, and you wouldn't have access to back and window. So you won't go down isopropyl. I mean, you might just have to work with it.
Protecting suits and airbrushing.
So, with airbrushing, again, this is very key to talk to your maker. If you're the one who made the suit, as experience, I've had a suit that was completely full body airbrush, heavily, and I never had a problem with the airbrushing fading. It was just watered down acrylic airbrushing. I went through pools, I rolled around in dirt, because it was this kind of like test suit. It was a horse in a contract. And really, just again, gentle washing. If you are unsure, I really do highly recommend just asking your maker what is the best way to wash your suit, and that'll kind of guide you in the right direction. Because I know that some makers will use the airbrushing paints than water and acrylic, so just be cautious of that.
Do you know where the biggest warehouse for foam, like a supply is right now? Because it's very scarce. So, person that is Rock Rubber is a really great place. They've got a wide variety of things. You can get it in thin sheets as well, if that's more your style. There are places online, but I don't know what they are, and the person that I know does know what they are is not here. So I'm sorry about that, but it could be helpful.
I know somebody that has used this, and they got a lot of outdoor area, and that's also hanging on the clothesline. It's also really to sort of dry it off, like that can sort of in the shower, using obviously holding them up and down on the whole setting on a hand like to get a little bit of the excess water off. What's your opinion on that?
That works just fine. You can even, if it's not too hot, use a real setting on a hair dryer as well. Another key thing, brush your suit before it dries.
Hold on, we just thought of something we should probably mention to some of you, because you might actually have this feature in your head where you have fans for electronics on how to clean that.
Alright, so a lot of it comes down to how the maker makes the suit. For instance, the body of this particular guy has LED support as well. But I made all of them removable, so you use a chocolate machine. That's fine. But for the hand tools, the head, a lot of that is just going to end up being spot clean. With this, there's going to be a problem. You can actually take the battery pack itself out, and you can do this a very gentle hand wash. Make sure it's dried thoroughly, and you'll be fine to keep using. But it's got to be so dry, to make sure that there's no water left in the connector or anything. But again, talk to your maker, because they might not want you to get it wet at all. So again, it just comes down to the maker.
Hi. This is I'm just wondering. What is your thoughts on the brief on places that are basically all pretty format, like for instance, the way with Rudolph obviously or something like that. What are your thoughts on using the breeze? Can you use the breeze or just or versus or something like that?
Febreze is a controversial subject amongst makers. I, for one, would say don't do it because it can leave a residue. But you notice that she has used Febreze as well. So
I have. Like, before, like, this was a thing. Like, really, I really stress this than Febreze, but it does leave a residue. So be careful of that. I mean, it's nice to have that, like, fresh Febreze scent, but
that's why you can get scented versions of spray as well. So if you want it to smell fresh in you, that would really that smell. Just if you want it to smell really nice and fresh, get a scented spray. Another question?
On my plan.
Just to washing, sorry, but what do you do if your fursuit maker has screwed you over?
That depends on how they screw you over. Is it a monetary thing? They haven't delivered their item or they're asking for more money? What's the situation?
It's a monetary thing. They haven't delivered haven't delivered an item of suit.
They haven't delivered an item of my suit, as well as the price I paid for the suit, the quality isn't great.
Oh, that's tough to think of those things.
yeah, it definitely is. First off, I'm sorry that happened to you. You know, keep in mind, again, these are pieces of artwork. Every artist has their own different ways of making costume. You know, if they haven't delivered on the agreement of what piece you're working on, I think communication is key. I think a lot of the times people get scared and they go to social media, and that can blow up into this large thing that is stressful and everything. None of us want to be stressed in this situation. Maybe talk to them, and if not, it's really hard to kind of approach that situation, especially when you've had most of the costume, but they haven't delivered the piece. I think talking about maybe getting refunded for that said item of the suit, or maybe going to someone else that might be more reputable, might help them.
Hi, yes. I've heard you talk about doing foam heads, but what about resin-based forms?
Resin-based ones are actually easier. So much easier to make. You don't have to worry as much about damaging the inside of their head when you're cleaning the inside. But cleaning the outside is the same as cleaning the front head. You just don't have to be as careful, if that makes sense. Yeah. Pretty easy.
So on that question, it says there's often you have raw articulation, which has metals, and it's probably not advised to wash the head in that case, is it? Rust?
I'd say it's more recommended to swap in and like that.
Yeah, I had a prison head, again, it was a common head, and I had the theory of the metal pieces in it. Just taking like a disinfecting wipe on the inside and just wipe it down, because it's pretty much just plastic. It's wiping out like the camera.
Thoughts on winters in the suits?
What?
I'm the same as Febreze. I just really personally. But again, it comes down to every person's
Just a question. If you were the one that made your suit, how would you know how to clean if you've never really worried about it?
So you make
tutorials online are a great place to start. Trial and error as well. If you've got scrap material, throw it in the wash with certain sources to see what happens. And a lot of cleaning advice come from trial and error. Just so you guys know, you can also ask questions about things other than washing and cleaning your suit too.
I have a question.
As for musicians who wish to perform a musical instrument like a piano in a fursuit, what kind of class would you recommend? Like what material?
Okay, you can quite interesting because I actually play piano as well, and I can do that same thing. Depending on dexterity, a single fur or a very short fur, but you're going to need something that's more bulky, so you're going to need something that's more like a glove than an actual fur. Yeah. I built on suit. I don't know if some of you guys know who he is, but he's also a magician. Hello, good morning. He plays piano as well, and he wanted to be able to play the guitar, piano, anything like that. So what we did is actually like at the base of each finger, we cut slits, and then kind of like we border the edges so it can stretch. And then he can stick his fingers out, but when he's playing piano, it looks like it's just the pause and playing the piano. So that's actually really cool. I like that. That's good. For the body makers, do you have any names that you suggest? I only hear about key makers so far, and I know that there are 4 makers, but they're not very well known. Lies into the large number of makers in Australia. We've got the Menagerie Costumes in Queensland, Lazy Week in Queensland. In Melbourne, we've got Escape. Wait, what? No, yeah. Melbourne. 8-bit works. Yeah. Sorry, that's what I was going to say. Was in Melbourne. We've got Escape, Beast and Dragons, Designs 5. 8-bit. We've got a bunch of new names as well.
8-bit works.
Names, so many. Yes, there we go. Bunch of Sci-Fi Studios. So there's also a really handy tool on Tumblr. It's called the Fursuiting database. So you jump on that, type in Australian fursuit makers, and the whole long list of makers comes up. What is the best way to keep a floor drag tail clean? I know this one. I run out in the desert in my costume. So there's actually different things that you can do. One thing that I did for silicone is I made a vinyl or leather tail cover. You can also pick up your tail and you're dragging on the tiles and stuff. Tile is what's going to get your tail really dirty. Obviously, dirt, grass, and anything else too. But I would suggest fitting or making a tail cover. It's super easy to do. You just basically lay your tail down on some paper, you trace around it, give it some seam allowance, and then like cut 2 pieces, sew it, and then have a way to tie it onto the tail. If it does get dirty, again, like Rolex and just like spot washing will help get it clean again. Another good thing to keep in mind is design as well. If you want, you can have a darker fill on the bottom of the floor dryer. Just the mark it's on the good job.
I actually have a friend of mine who's looking for a rather interesting animal to be made into a suit. It's called a penguin. And they're just wondering what would you recommend for the scales, because they're thinking either a very light leather or a very short wing fur sort of thing.
I love penguins. They're such cute little critters. Either of those work amazingly good. When they want to make it. So those are like the yeah. You know, scale work like that, it really just depends on like how much time you're spending on it. I mean, meat works and leather. Format. Yeah, you know, I mean, keep in mind that you're going to need to be able to flex in this suit, so, you know, starting off with a base material to attach all this scales to might help, so. Another good idea is painting a whole bunch of different EVA foam hides. You know, there's something that people have been doing, and it's so cool to get like feather detail in suits.
is they actually just cut the fur into the shape. So like if you were to just cut that pattern into the fur, it would look like scales. That would look pretty bad.
Hi. What is the best or most heartwarming experience you've had in school?
So, I kind of have like a daughter without having a daughter. I do this thing every year for Christmas for the Arizona Child Crisis, which is the orphanage there. There's one girl that sits out. She's been adopted, and I know her mother and everything. Her name is Bella, and I get phone calls and video calls from her all the time asking where telephone is, and just every time I see her, she always, yells out telephone and she's like only like 4 years old, and every time I'm at a local con, you'll see me, but you'll see me with this little girl attached to my finger and dragging me around. I think the most heartwarming thing is when, she was going to have her birthday, and she looked at her mom. Her mom was telling me this. She's like, I just want telephone at my birthday party. So I ended up showing up to her birthday party.
That's so adorable. Personally, I just love every time I see someone smile because someone is sweet. It's such an innocent joy, and I love that. To me, that's the most heartwarming thing. Any more questions?
There's someone out here real quick. Right out here. Let's go ahead. I've been seeing you over there forever. I'm so sorry.
I'm not sure if this is actually an easy question to answer, but when you're looking online for places to buy a fursuit, is there any key things that you're supposed to be looking for to know if the person is a genuine dealer and will give you something worth the quality that you pay for? Or is it just look around, see reviews, and kind of just take a gamble?
That's really hard. It's just a bit of a gamble because you're going to have people posing as other people trying to sell nothing but still get money for it. I guess one thing I do is just how much information about the suit is actually on the page, how accurate